And then we're going to go through the same exercise of picking a leader and tallying up the votes.
It's going to do something else. Because mine's out of that.
But if they're really into it, it can be the same leader. And now you're going to tally up the check marks, and the leader that goes to the wall needs to tally up on the right side of the word. So spend some time doing the tallying, and then when you're finished, you can head up to the wall. And again, the rest of the table members, please continue discussing why you made those choices. While the leaders are finishing up, I'm going to move to the next section. Don't worry, we're not going to start the next exercise without the leaders, but I do want to introduce it just in the interest of moving this along. So, we aren't quite done yet, okay, because we have some tallying to do. So I'm going to have my daughter and husband do the tallying of the second exercise while we start the next thing. But I want to reveal the results to you on the aspirational values, which is the first thing we did on the easel over here. Number 1, faith. Number 2, spirituality. Number 3, prayer. And tied for 4th, Bible teaching and community. Very interesting. So that's very exciting, very exciting. So we're going to kind of pause it there and see what happens on the other side and see how close we are with the tallying. While we do that, we're going to move to the next exercise and talk about outreach. All right, again, the leaders can keep doing what they're doing. They'll catch up in just a second. All right, let's move. You can go to the next one, Faith. All right, so I want to just get you thinking for a second here. You can see a nice picture of my daughter and I on her first day at Aquinas. All right, Faith is part of the inaugural 6th grade. They added a 6th grade this year. I was thrilled about that. And I put this up here to talk about what it's like when you have a first day at a place that is really good at welcoming. Okay, Aquinas has it down. They really do. And so, yeah, highly recommend it. I'll be paying tuition for the next 10 years. So they know what they're doing, and I think in part because they understand the business side of things and also the engagement side of things, but that's for another day. What I really wanted to say here is when you think about your first day, think about your first day at a new school. So that's an example, Faith can talk to you about. First days at a new job, right? Most people here have had at least one first day at a new job, right? Right? Anyone have a first day at the gym? Right? Some people have a second day at the gym. Some people don't. All right? But let me use the gym example, because this is what I was thinking to share with you today. So, in New Year's resolutions, right, most people try to either lose weight or get organized. Which gets me excited because I forgot to mention earlier that I have a side business with my sister, a partnership that does professional organizing on one side and does leadership consulting like this that I'm doing on a volunteer basis today on the other side. So it's very excited to hear that most people make a New Year's resolution to get organized. But it's not better than the first one, which of course is to lose weight, right? So I go to LA Fitness in Greece, and I'm in the middle of this reflection. I've been really immersing myself in this transformation of this parish, right? And I say that to you because even so, I found myself on December 31st grumbling about everybody I was going to see on the 1st. Okay? So how fair is that, right? So if you've ever tried to lose weight and had a first day at a gym, right, how much courage does it take to get your sneakers on, right? Much less drive there, arrive there, and maybe get on a treadmill. I mean, there's a lot that goes on there. It takes a lot for someone to get there. And here I am scoffing at these people like you're on my machine, right? So quickly I turned my mind around because, again, I was immersed in this discussion, realizing it was the same thing, right? It's the same thing of welcoming people into our parish, right? When you think about, you don't have to admit it, but I'll tell you I've done it. When there are families who bring their child to be baptized, you don't know who the family is. How many people have turned to their neighbor and said, well, we're not going to see them again? Right? Thank you for being honest. But we do that, right? But yet at the same time, we want people to join our parish. It's not going to work, right? And I want you to think about, that's why I put some examples of, what did you notice on your first day at the new job, new parish? The types of things you notice, right? What's important to you? That someone's welcoming, that people are good at what they do, they're competent. There's all those things. We could have a whole discussion about that. I would love to, but we can't today. But I want you to keep thinking about that. So on the bottom of this slide here, it says, put it in perspective, Timonium Tim. So, there's a book, Father Mike has mentioned this before, Rebuilt. It's a parish in Maryland. Has anyone read this book? Awesome. And they have a podcast too, by the way. So a lot of my recent reflections are out of either this book or Divine Renovation, which is written more recently. Okay, this is a parish in Canada. But back to Rebuilt, their parish, the Church of the Nativity in Timonium, Maryland, they nicknamed their newcomer Tim. So when they get together and they talk about how can we be more welcoming, they always put it in perspective of Tim. You know, what is Tim in his family need in order to come to church. For example, they say, Tim wears blue jeans to church. Some of us would be, are you kidding me? That's not right. But that's what Tim wears. So in order to make Tim feel comfortable, we might have to wear blue jeans. It's just an example. Don't panic. Please keep breathing. I'm just giving you an example. Okay? But this is what they did, right? So they're thinking about, what does Tim need? And they discovered, and I don't think there's necessarily a rhyme or reason why they picked Tim instead of Tina. It didn't really matter. But they did think, if you got to Tim, or Tina, I guess, and you got him or her engaged in the church, their family would get engaged in the church. Right? So as you think about your ideas, I hope you already came forward with them, like you arrived here today with some in your mind. Keep in mind Timonium Tim, or Greta Gates, or whoever we're going to call this person, when we think about welcoming, because it's tough. You have to put yourself back in your first day mode, because we all go to church here, right? So what we need and want is being served in a different way than the people who don't want to come here yet, right? Which is why we're doing this exercise of actual versus aspirational. Okay, my assistant is going. So she's busy. All right, so what we're going to do, she's doing such a great job. Thank you, honey. All right. Don't go there. Don't go there. I'll just be there for a second. Okay, I love this picture, right? The Great Commission. That's why I called this exercise, right? Go and make disciples. That's what we're supposed to do, right? We didn't talk about vision today because we don't have to. We already have it. It was given to us by Jesus Christ. So we don't have to get into why are we here. We know what we're supposed to be doing, but now we got to align our values to that. Okay? All right, so do we have the tally? Dramatic effect. Okay. I'll write these up here, but okay. Is that a 220? Sorry. It's a really critical question. Is that a 2? Okay. All right. Number 1, ministry. Number 2, tradition. Number 3, community. Number 4, worship. And then tied for 5, generosity and fellowship. So we'll put those on there so side by side. We'll put them on the wall so you can reflect on that. Very interesting. Okay, while we do that though, let's move on to the next exercise. So in the back of your handout, underneath the values, you have a payoff matrix. You also have one of your tables. Babe, can you hold one up, Washington? You have one of your tables, so similar exercise. Okay, what you're going to do is, this is what your Post-it notes come in, okay? So the Post-it notes on your table, there's 3 per table, and there's 3 markers, so just kind of share them. But one idea per Post-it note, you're going to write down with a couple words, enough so we know what you're saying, all right? And then what you're going to do, I'm going to probably go through this twice, just to make sure you understand. You're going to take it, and on the payoff matrix, actually, Faith, why don't you go to the next slide, please? All right. I've covered it with some words, but before I get into that, what you're going to do is place it on one of the 4 places, okay? Don't worry about the gray area where you're not sure if it's on the line or whatever. You kind of have to pick. So take each idea and you decide, is it easy to implement and big impact? If so, put it in that quadrant. Okay, you're going to do it at the table because your leader is going to carry that piece of paper over with all the Post-it notes on it, and is going to transfer the Post-it notes all the way over there on the left on the big payoff matrix, so that we can visually see how many we have. Is someone going to let me in on the inside joke? No? Okay, so, yes, John. Okay, I'm going to go through it again. Okay, so first step, in fact, what I'm going to do right now, because I think people like to know what's coming next, which is why I'm telling you that, but I think it's also a lot to remember. So, what I'm going to do is give you one thing at a time for the next 5 minutes, You're going to share your Post-it notes and write your ideas on there. They don't have to be collective ideas, they can be individual ideas. Just write them down and just ideas for outreach. How are we going to, thank you, Suzanne. These are ideas, how are we going to get these people in the door? Okay, what are we going to do differently, new things, that kind of thing. Okay, let me give you an example just so you know what I'm talking about. It can be big, it can be introduce an adult faith formation program. Okay, that's kind of big, I would say. Or, I had this thought the last couple of weeks I was going to Mass. The staff does a great job of doing the welcome at the beginning of Mass, and so do the priests. But I can't remember the last time that any of you introduced yourselves to the congregation. Okay, so it could be only because, right, we all know you, we do, but they don't, right? So that's an example of an idea. And when you get to that point, we know that's easy to implement, and you can debate whether that's a small or big impact. But right now, your only job for the next 5 minutes is to share the Post-it notes and write down as many ideas as you have, and just stick them on the table somewhere, and then I'll let you know when it's time to put them on the matrix. Okay? Sure can. Can you read that? That's what we're going to decide. So we're going to let everybody bring their ideas together. I do, but at this point, we're going to let everybody bring their ideas forward, and if we don't cover that, if we go forward, we can bring that back up. Okay? Thank you. Get you along to the next step. Some of you already went there, that's totally fine. But as promised, I want to lead you one step at a time. Can I have your attention? Just for a few minutes, and then you go back to your discussion. So now you're going to take your Post-it notes, and you're going to put them on the main page on your table. And for most of your tables, there's an orange instruction paper, but some of them don't have that. So you're going to have a discussion at your table to just make a decision on which one of the 4 quadrants does this belong in. Okay, so let me just make a couple comments. All ideas are valid. Okay, all ideas are valid. Can I have your attention, please? Thank you. That means there's no bad ideas today. Everything's valid. We just need to find a place for them. We can make a decision at the end that we're going to do every single thing we put up there. Not likely, right? But we could. So this isn't about feeling bad about, oh, mine didn't get, a good grade. Everything's valid, okay? But some may be more impactful or easier to implement than others. So when we talk about impact, you need to keep the values discussion in mind, okay? What we said was important to us, that's how we have to match the impact. So that's how you decide whether it's a small or big impact. You don't have to be right about this. It's just your own opinion. Okay? The other thing is, the ideas you come up with may already be happening in the parish. You just don't know it, which tells us we probably have a marketing opportunity. Don't worry about that either. Throw them all out there. Okay? As far as ease of implementation, the staff might have a different perspective or opinion than the rest of you do. That's fine. Just based on what you know today and what you can guess how much work that would take to do it and sustain it. That's how you decide whether it's easy to do or difficult to do. Okay, again, we're not going to get into the gradient, like how difficult is it or how easy is it, because we'll be here all night. You just got to pick one of the 4 at your table. That might take you 10 minutes or so to do it. And then when you're done, again, pick a leader. Faith and I will be at the wall to help you transfer that to the big poster. Before you do that, though, I'm going to take my cord over here. I just want to, well, I'm not going to do it too far. Can you still hear me? It sounded funny. All right. So on the wall there, I just had a couple pictures. I just want to tell you what they mean because you're going to cover them up in a second. So over there it says difficult and big. Difficult to do. Vanna, thank you. Big impact. All right, that symbol is meant to be, if we have things in that quadrant, we should keep talking about them and meeting about them. Because they have a really big impact, but they're hard to do. So can we take that out or not? Let's keep talking, okay? If you go over to the right, easy to do, big impact, right? Tell me what that symbol means. Low-hanging fruit, thank you, Mike. Low-hanging fruit, okay? That means that we probably will do those things. Probably. Because you get a lot of low-hanging fruit, you can't eat that many apples, okay? So that's probably where we'll start, is the real easy things, okay, that make a big impact. You go down from there to the green hand, okay? You have easy things to do that make a small impact. So I kind of put the hand up as a pause, but with a green light. Okay, you're probably going to do that too, but again, if you take too many of those on, we won't be able to do it. So you just kind of proceed, but just maybe just pay attention to what's going on. And then finally, the difficult to do small impact is a pause with a red light. Okay, we are not going to start there, but that doesn't mean we won't do those things, right? Because there's still an impact. We just may not do those yet. And we may decide not to do them at all. We don't know yet. Okay, so that's what that's about. So you can go back now and take all of your ideas and put them on your payoff matrix. That's called in my business life, so that's what I'm calling it here. And then a leader can come and we can transfer the post-it notes. This will go a little quicker because we don't have to actually tally things up.